Hope you listened carefully as Jeff proclaimed the gospel, because I'm going to begin my homily with a little quiz about the gospel we just heard. Okay? Not too hard. In the gospel story we just heard today, how many kings are mentioned? 2, 3, or more? How many say more? How many say 3? How many say 2? Many of you are afraid to answer. Well, the answer is 2. They are Jesus and Herod, the only kings mentioned in the gospel today. How many wise men were mentioned in the gospel today? 2, 3, or more? None. Today's gospel doesn't mention wise men or women at all. How many magi are mentioned in the gospel today? The gospel doesn't tell us. It just says magi from the east came. Doesn't tell us how many. And who are magi anyways? They're not kings. Magi were probably Persian priests, astronomers, from some sect of the occult. The confusion comes because we listen more carefully to the entrance song than we do to the gospel, to the lyrics of that song that are so much a part of us. The song poetically assumes that only royalty could have afforded such expensive gifts as gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And since there were 3 gifts, another assumption is made that there were probably 3 royal persons, 3 kings who brought them. And that's what we find in music, in art, in nativity scenes here in the church, and the ones in your living room, but not in the Bible, not in the Word of God. It is a curious tale here, is it not? Visitors from some unnamed place in the east seeking the Christ child by the guidance of a star. I wish St. Matthew had given us an even more detailed report, but he does tell us some things about the Magi's journey that might be valuable for us to consider on our own journey in life. First, in following the star, the Magi had to look up. That's where stars are. They had to look up and out of their own experience, beyond the routine of their day-to-day. They had to pay attention to something else, to someone else, outside, above, beyond them, even someone they had not yet met. Following a star to lead them to a particular place, to a particular individual person whom they wanted to get to know. And to follow that star, the Magi had to leave behind what they knew best. The comfort of home, all the familiar, life as they had known it, in order to make their way to someone unknown. And in following the star, the Magi had to let go some measure of their own self-determination and let God have a free hand in charting their journey, mapping the route to their future. Maybe the importance of the Magi rests less in their finding the Christ child and more in what they were willing to sacrifice to seek him. Their willingness to let go some things for the sake of finding something more valuable. They're letting God stake a claim on their hearts and have a hand in guiding and directing their journey in life. The Star of Epiphany invites us, as it invited the Magi, to look up out of the routine of our daily existence to what might be if we were to follow the lead of the Lord. The star invites us to follow a light not of our own invention, not of our own making, a light that leads us beyond our comfort zone. Epiphany star invites us to leave behind some of the things we cling to and depend on, trusting that God will provide gifts of much greater value. The star invites us to let go some of our own plans, to see what God might ask of us, what God might offer us, what God might invite us to. Some may find my suggestions here impractical and foolish, but I believe that wise women and wise men will find these filled with possibility and promise. How about you and me? Are we the foolish or are we the wise? Will we rely on our own sense of direction to serve as the GPS on the dashboards of our hearts? Or will we be wise enough and courageous enough to follow a star, to follow the star of Jesus, to follow Jesus? It's not an easy path to walk. I don't think it was easy for the Magi. It's not easy for us. Even after following and finding the child, there must have been questions lingering in their minds. I've tried to imagine the conversation the Magi might have had on the way home in the caravan after finding and visiting the Holy Family. Try to imagine what they might have said to each other. And here's what I've come up with. I invite you to maybe close your eyes and imagine the desert, the caravan, the camels, the Magi, and their conversation, which might have gone something like this. Well, frankincense, gold, and myrrh, that's what we came with. Now we go home empty-handed. Empty saddlebags on the camels and our hearts filled with questions. I wonder, did we leave the presents with the right king? There was Herod in a palace, warm, fine, and plush. And then the child in a barn, all muck and hay, and oh, the smell. I wonder, did we leave the gifts with the right king? Oh, I think so. Remember Herod's eyes, green with envy? But oh, the innocence of that child who but cried and nursed and slept. Yes, the child. I think I saw him smile. And clearly his parents needed the help. Well, what newborn's parents would have turned down the gold? Oh, not to worry. They were honest folk. You could see it in her face and in the way he cared for her and for the baby. They'll save our gifts for when they need them. And mark my words, they will need them. But did we find the one we were seeking? Was it his star? And what if we were wrong? Oh, his star it was indeed. A star of mystery, far beyond the wisdom of us all. We may not understand, but we know it was his star. What next then? What will we tell the folks at home of what we saw and what we didn't see? What will they think of us when we tell of a stable for a palace and a manger for a throne? They'll likely think us fools. I still wonder myself if we found anything or everything or even more than we can ever know. Well, a trip we won't forget, nor him we found, nor those we met along the way. The angel in the dream with a warning just in time. Now this way home, another way, a new way now, the way of dreams. So mind the star. It's still above, but fading fast. So keep the pace. can open your eyes. The light of faith, the light of that star, is still above and leads us even today, this morning, not to a manger where animals feed, but to an altar, to this table, where the Lord welcomes the likes of you and me, people who are often foolish and yet wise enough to come here to look for him, to follow his star, to seek him. As the Magi found him long ago, may we find Jesus today in his word, in the bread and the cup of the Eucharist, and in one another. O star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.